Smooth 98.1, Lagos, Nigeria, world. Welcome to Business Express. Where we're about to talk literal money here on Business Express. I'm Sope Martins here on Smooth Breakfast, and joining me for these next 15 minutes, I've got, of course, Rotus, who you expect every single day on Business Express. Good morning, Rotus. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Good morning, Sope. Good morning to our special guest from Stanbic IBTC. Good morning to all our listeners and viewers as well.
Yes, and joining us today once again, I always love it when she comes in and shares her opinion. I do. We've got our guest, Abisola Kayode-Adedeji, who's the manager of client coverage and global markets with Stanbic IBTC. Good morning, welcome. It's great to have you.
Morning, Sope. Morning, Rotus. Nice for you guys to have me again. I'm honored to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Looking forward to your thoughts on our conversation topic for today, because we're going to be talking about that big news that we all kind of watched and we've heard about, at least even if you just woke up to it this morning, about CBN to redesign the 200, 500, and 1,000 naira notes, and the length of time that is going to take. Lots to discuss, and I want your voice in this conversation. So make sure wherever you're watching or listening from that you tune in and send your thoughts. So up on youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos, there is a live chat option, so make sure you drop your comments in that live chat. You can also send WhatsApp messages to 0809 440 981, or take it to Twitter and use the hashtag BusinessExpress981. All right, so big news from the CBN.
Yes, the press conference at 2 p.m. Yesterday, and the central bank governor said that there's a lot of money that is in circulation that is not in bank vaults. I think it's out of 3.2 trillion or so. I think
3.3 trillion.
3.2, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's almost 80% of the money in circulation is not in bank vaults. So they said the rationale behind changing the 200, 500, and 1,000 was to one, control money in circulation, two, target currency hoarders, and what was the other reason that they gave?
Clean up short supply of notes, so they don't have short supply of clean notes, right. And of course currency mutilation as well. That was also one of the reasons for it, apart from the fact that there's counterfeiting apparently, and they mentioned that those three major notes are quite. There's been a lot of ease, I think, confirmation from security experts. There's been a lot of ease in counterfeiting those notes. So I think it became imperative that they work on it. But to me, it's too placed. The way I see it, apart from the fact that the time is limited, that's where the real problem is. Taking the fact that this is going to happen during the Yuletide season, meaning that
December 15th.
So by then you know how it is in terms of most of marketers and most of people that will need to deposit the cash. And so during that period, and then last but not the least is the fact that they have till 31st of January. And that means, and we all know what happens in February, which is the presidential election. And so during those two, we have those itself are monumental situations. And so to now add the pressure to it, it's going to make it, we are resilient people who will survive. But I think for me, the pros of it is the fact that it's going to be an opportunity to bank the unbanked, because even those in the hinterland will have no choice but to actually bring their funds to the bank. And when they bring the funds to the bank, they will have to open an account. So we get it, so it becomes more of inclusive banking. And then, of course, the other option will also be that they're able to now learn on how they can transfer. And so and of course, you're aware of the PSB operation that was given to some of the networks recently. So that is going to work in aiding data. Okay, now you've deposited your money. Do you have a phone? You can do this on your phone to ensure that you are able to transfer money. So I think in the long run, yes, we are going to be working against, it's a race against time, but the premise behind this is going to be more digital adoption. And of course, in terms of electronic transfer, we're already there already, The volumes are substantial. We're doing up to almost 200 trillion in terms of electronic platform, in terms of processing of transactions. So that is fine. It's just the fact that it will also give us an opportunity to bank the unbanked, which from what I heard is literally the majority compared to the volumes in terms of percentile. We're working around almost 50 to 60%. So that is an opportunity. So it's not just all woes because of the timeline and because of what is on hand, but let's look at it from the other side.
Okay,
right.
it's a fair point. What about because at the press conference?
And also, by the way, can I say another fair point, and which I like that the AFCC has weighted in on this as well, is we get to see all those, bags of cash that keep hiding in apartments come out.
Yeah. Well, on that point, the thing is, if currency is going to be hoarded now, when you introduce a new currency or new redesign, what stops currency hoarding from happening later on? So it's I guess
that's
a good question.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not the regulators, but I suspect they might limit the circulation. So if they're limiting the circulation, it might reduce the state of it, because if ideally everybody's going to come and get it soft, then we've not done anything. That means, I can get it soft and I can also mutilate it. I can get it soft and start holding it. But I suspect that it might be a little bit effective if they are able to limit that. So that is where we should hope for, because there are plans to also tweak the cashless policy itself. So that might address your concern, because I'm sure this has also been brought to their force.
And then at the press conference, he was asked if it would reduce inflation. That was one, and then strengthen the naira. That was two. What when I heard those questions, I have my own thoughts. What do you think?
Okay, so for inflation, the indices or the factors that drove us to where we are, we had 20.8 now for the last month of September. That's what we printed. Has nothing to do with money supply. So that won't happen. Ideally, in terms of monetary policy, it should be flat, because except if it's going to cause and affect GDP, then we'll have cause to think that this might affect inflation. But the challenge is this: as we get towards the period of the Yuletide season, we might see a reduction in demand and supply. But I think that's been nipped in the bud already, because we are already quite big on electronic transfer. But I won't be able to speak for the interland, because it's not so. It will be myopic of me to think of just the metropolis in the Lagos, Ibadan, Port Harcourt, Owerri, but there are some interlands that this shift or change might not be so smooth for, but nothing for now, because the indices of why we are going through inflation hasn't changed. State of insecurity in the country, vandalism, the energy war issues from the Russia-Ukraine war. So the challenges haven't changed. So it has absolutely nothing to do with money supply. Nothing for now. But let's see how that is.
What about strengthening the naira?
Strengthening the naira is still the same way with inflation. Why is our naira at this level? It's simple. We have high level of vandalism. We're not producing. We're not even meeting the quota. So we're not talk less of getting the best returns on that. And then we need to ramp up on our non-oil exports as well, looking at the program with the CBN N200 program as well. So if we're able to ramp up and increase in terms of our returns on oil exports and our non-oil exports, and we're able to produce more in the country, reduce our dependence on imported goods, then we can strengthen our currency. Absolutely nothing to do with money supply. So the indices are different.
And we've got people chiming in already.
All right, go ahead. Yeah.
Let me read some of these messages.
Okay.
Let me read some of these messages coming out. So Austin, actually this one is from Yinka Bolu, who says, new notes, old notes or new notes. My problem is that you approach the bank for new notes and they tell you it's not available only for you to see folks at Owambe parties throwing, not spraying, throwing bundles of new, and he's really emphasizing this, throwing bundles of new notes at each other. Some even have made it a business to sell new notes, and actually that's also something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but how would those Owambe people get the notes? It's the same thing. They also have to approach the bank as
Correct.
well and take their
Correct.
old notes and get the new one. So this is
Correct.
levels the playing field as far as access,
Exactly.
I imagine, for everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yinka Bolu goes on to say the height of it is when it turns out that even bank staff created a cartel to manage new notes. And I hope that they reduce the number of notes in circulation and strengthen the e-naira acceptance and usage.
Correct.
Austin,
So he's nipped it in the bud already. If that is able to happen, we'll see. But I think with this, there's going to be a digital change. We're going to find out that we're going to be able to do more business and move to more of a cashless society. So let's watch out for the months to come. It's going to get really interesting and quite rigorous as well, because I can imagine what the banking halls will become.
Austin from Satellite says the CBN to redesign the naira notes. Just watch out, the dollar rate will go up more because many people will use their naira to buy dollars, and the demand for dollars will be very high. Ifeoluwa chimes in with one saying, I think the major issue to me is that the CBN said over 85% of the currency in circulation is not in the banks. What
Correct.
could be the factors that created that? Who are hoarding the notes and for what purpose? All of that from Ifeoluwa from LBS. And
okay.
Yes.
Okay, Shekwa, finish up then.
There's many more messages coming in. So
yeah, go ahead, Abisola, go ahead. Abisola, go ahead.
Okay, so I think to me, the reality is that, okay, yes, we might see, because the parallel market is quite fickle. We'll see an initial panic. And of course, we'll see some speculation. Yeah, we might see some activities and they might try to do some conversion. But the reality is, if out of about 3.3 billion, they said about 80% is not in the bank votes, do they have dollars for that amount of naira? No. So at the very end, you still have to come. You are going to show up at the banking hall.
Thank you.
And
thank you. Because
so I thought that initial panic is going to, it will see play out. But you will have to, just because you won't have it. Do they have naira for that? I myself, that I'm a banker, I didn't realize there was so much out there. I was shocked. Yeah, I know that, yes, there could be cash there. When, we all have an idea of there's cash out there. But to hear that about 80% is not in the banking vault, you're telling me that there's 2.6 to 7 billion out there. So it's an opportunity to do the right thing. Let's, to get things.
Which BDC will want to accept cash, loads of cash now, knowing they have to change it to the new notes? That's another thing I'm thinking about with that dollar. The point on the dollar, I'm not sure.
Which was what I was saying, even about our market women, that it will get sort of opportunity because of that short time space. They might start refusing, which the governor mentioned, and try to get them get the public not to be declining on any of the notes. But this might probably happen in more of the hinterlands, because I believe most of the market people in the metropolis already deal electronic transfer, because there's already a cap of just 10 million. You can't do cash of over 10 million already. So that itself works in the metropolis. But what happens in the hinterland, I don't want to make just opaque statements about what happens there. It might be a little bit difficult there.
Abisola Rotus, we've come to the end of the show, so I want to get some of these messages in before we have to leave. So up on YouTube, Ugonwa says the policy is majorly to reduce the flow of cash for elections. However, I'm worried about the implementation because the dollar rate will shoot up. It's becoming increasingly difficult to withdraw dollar cash from domiciliary accounts. Why is this, please? That's a question for Twitter. Find Rotus at Rotanquote up on Twitter. Ladele Johnson comes in with another message about dollarization. And Benga Kamu says, so why redesign these Naira notes if it doesn't have an effect on the state of the Naira? And Benny Benjamin says, oh, but this hoarding cash, before January 2023, they could have changed the cash to foreign currency. See, same issue
Same
coming up
thing.
again. But we don't have time for more. Thank you so much. So of course, thank you to Rotus. I'll see you tomorrow for Tech Friday. And thank you to our guest, Abisola Kayode-Adedeji, who's the manager of client coverage and global markets with Stanbic IBTC. It was a pleasure having you on the show. And thank you for bringing in the other side, because people might pile in on the news, but you're like, hey, let's think about it. Long-term effects could be good. Love it.
I think it's going to be good in the long end.
All right, have a wonderful day.
Thank you, guys.